Beloved one, stop scrolling right now. The devil just made a bet about you, and I'm about to prove him wrong. You need to know someone is lying awake right now thinking about you, terrified to admit it. And what I'm about to expose will prove the devil wrong about you. Devil laughing, saying you'll ignore this message just like you ignore every other sign heaven sends. He's convinced you're too distracted, too numb, too lost in your phone to recognize what's about to be revealed. But I, Archangel Michael, commander of heaven's armies, stood before the throne and declared something different about you. I said you're not like the others. I said you'll listen. I said your spirit is awake enough to recognize truth when it's spoken. So here's your first test. Can you feel it? That strange pull in your chest right now? That's not anxiety. That's recognition. Your soul knows something massive is about to be uncovered. Type Amen. 111 if you feel this pull. Listen carefully. Somewhere in this world, there's a person who cannot sleep because of you. Not in some poetic, romantic way. I mean, literally, they're staring at ceilings at 3 a.m., wrestling with feelings that make absolutely no sense to their logical mind. They've tried everything to make it stop. Distraction, distance, dating other people, convincing themselves it's just a phase, just confusion, just their imagination running wild. But none of it works. Every road leads back to your face, your voice, your presence that's burned into their consciousness like a brand they can't remove. Want to know the part that terrifies them most? The age difference. The years that separate you aren't small or easy to explain away. Society has rules about these things, judgments ready to be thrown, labels waiting to be attached. They know all this. They've rehearsed every argument against what they feel. And yet, here's what keeps them up at night. None of those arguments have the power to change what's happening in their heart. But wait, there's something even more shocking you need to hear. This didn't happen by accident. Heaven looked at your pain, measured your patience, counted every tear you cried when you thought no one was watching. And then the Most High made a decision that defied human logic. He took someone who was never supposed to cross your path, someone whose story was written to go in a completely different direction, and he redirected everything, changed their trajectory, bent their journey like light through a prism, all to create this one impossible intersection with your life. When they first felt drawn to you, they couldn't name it. It felt wrong to even acknowledge. You weren't the type they'd imagined. The age thing alone seemed like a cosmic joke, a test they were supposed to resist and pass. But then they spent time in your presence, and something unexplainable happened. Yeah. Your words carried weight that others didn't. Your silence felt more comfortable than other people's conversations. Your energy didn't drain them. It recharged something they didn't even know was depleted. And worst of all, for their resistance, your absence created an ache that nothing else could fill. They've tried to logic their way out of this. It's just admiration, they told themselves. It's just respect for your wisdom. But admiration doesn't wake you up at midnight with your heart pounding. Respect doesn't make you search for someone's face in every crowd. Here's what they're terrified to admit even to themselves. This isn't surface-level attraction. This is soul recognition. Their spirit remembers yours from before either of you took your first breath in this world. This is why the age gap feels simultaneously impossible and completely irrelevant. Bodies count years. Souls don't. Right now, they're at war with themselves. One voice says, "This is crazy. Walk away before anyone finds out." Another voice, deeper and quieter, whispers, "But what if this is exactly what heaven intended? What if running from this is running from destiny itself?" And here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. The enemy wants you to scroll past this message. He wants you to dismiss it as coincidence, as generic content that could apply to anyone. But your spirit knows better, doesn't it? Something in you recognized your story in these words. That's not accident. That's confirmation. Don't you dare scroll away now. What comes next will prove everything. You've been seeing signs, haven't you? Numbers that repeat everywhere you look. On clocks, receipts, license plates. 1111, 222, 555. You've tried to brush it off as pattern recognition, as your brain playing tricks. But the frequency is increasing, not decreasing. And deep down, you know these aren't random. They're coordinates. Heaven's way of saying, pay attention. Something is aligning. And it's not just numbers. Songs play at impossible moments. Lyrics that speak directly to your situation right when you're thinking about this person. You'll be lost in thought about them, and suddenly their favorite song comes on, or you hear their name mentioned in a conversation 3 tables away. The rational part of your mind tries to explain it away. Coincidence, selective attention, confirmation bias. But the spiritual part of you, the part that's awake right now, reading these words, knows better. Type Amen 222 if the signs have been undeniable. Here's what's really happening in the invisible realm while you're busy dismissing these signs as nothing. The person who can't stop thinking about you is sending out soul signals, not consciously, not intentionally. But when someone thinks about you with that kind of intensity, when they pray about you, when they wrestle with feelings about you, it creates spiritual ripples. Your soul picks up these signals. That's why you suddenly think of them for no apparent reason. That's why you feel their presence, even when they're nowhere near. That's why you'll be having a completely normal day and then boom, a wave of emotion about them hits you from nowhere. You're not imagining this connection. You're experiencing it across the spiritual realm where distance means nothing and age is just a human construct that holds no weight. But here's what the enemy is desperately trying to hide from you. This person is about to break. Their resistance is crumbling. Every day they hold back their truth. The weight of it grows heavier. They wake up exhausted from the mental battle of pretending they don't feel what they feel. They've practiced conversations with you in their head 1,000 times. They've imagined confessing everything and then immediately imagined all the ways it could go wrong. The rejection, the awkwardness, the possibility that you'll think they're inappropriate or crazy. But there's a breaking point approaching, a moment when staying silent becomes more painful than speaking truth. When the risk of losing you by saying nothing outweighs the risk of losing you by saying everything. I'm telling you this not to build false hope, but to prepare you. Because when someone who's been holding back suddenly releases everything they've been carrying, it's not going to be calm or calculated. It's going to be raw, real, possibly messy. They might stumble over words. Their voice might shake. They might say things out of order or incomplete because the emotions are flooding out faster than their brain can organize them. And here's what you need to decide right now, before that moment comes. Will you let fear of what others think stop you from receiving what heaven is offering? Because make no mistake, this connection has divine fingerprints all over it. The enemy didn't orchestrate those repeated numbers, those impossible song timings, those moments when you both thought of each other simultaneously across distance. Hell doesn't create soul-level connections, heaven does. The question is, will you have the courage to recognize it when it fully reveals itself? Or will you let society's rules about age and appropriateness convince you to reject something sacred because it doesn't fit in a neat, acceptable box? Listen to me carefully. I've watched countless souls reject their divine assignments because those assignments didn't look the way they expected, because the packaging seemed wrong even though the contents were exactly what they needed. Don't be another one of those stories. Don't be someone who looks back in 10 years with regret, wondering what could have been if you'd just been brave enough to see past the surface. What I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly what they see when they look at you.